Hello, my name's Tim Healy, and I'm the founding head of school of Calvert Ice Academy. We are going to be an independent boarding day school in Holly Springs, North Carolina, a suburb of Raleigh featuring the best in hockey and figure skating that this country has to offer. However, a project of this magnitude takes some time, and we know that a lot of you are already looking for next year. Unfortunately, we won't be open for the 24-25 school year, but we know a lot of families are looking. So, what we wanted to do was to make sure families are making great choices now until we come into the marketplace. So I wanted to go in depth a little bit on the academy landscape. In the coming months, we're going to offer a few podcasts like this one where we are going to bring on some of the experts in the field that we're working with to help guide families that are going through this process. It will also give you a taste of what's in store for families looking at us when we do open. It'll give you a taste of the experts we're working with, our mission, our philosophy, and more about us in general. So we hope this series is informative and helpful for you as you try to move through what is a complicated process. Today, we're going to do a little bit of an overview of the Hockey Academy process, whether it's traditional hockey academies, traditional boarding schools. We want to give you a little bit of insights. We know it's a complicated world. I actually had an assistant athletic director from a major hockey school reach out over the summer for their child, not necessarily in terms of looking at us, but just helping to understand the landscape. It was even complicated for someone with their background. First off, academics. Academics far and away are the most important thing. I think the best NCAA commercial ever is everyone's going in pro in something someday, where they show ex-athletes in places like hospitals working, and that's what it really comes down to. At the end of the day, it's important that we're preparing our student athletes for life beyond their playing days. That's central to our mission at Calvert, and hopefully that's the central to any mission you're looking at right now. When you're looking at academies, you really need to scrutinize their academics. Obviously, the first thing to consider, is it in person or is it online? Is it a hybrid? Obviously, when we're talking about online, we're talking purely online classes. The academy might have a room to go into. They may have someone proctoring it. You also may have a hybrid too, where you have a teacher in the room as they're going through it and working in small groups. Finally, even in-person schools now are offering online classes to augment their course selection, which actually I'm a big fan of because, I coach at NC State, and one of the things we see is almost everyone on the collegiate level at some point is going to take an online class. So I think it is helpful to at least take some online classes in your high school time, maybe one or two to get used to it. But the bottom line is finding the best academic fit for your child and for you as a student athlete. So questions to ask. One is, where's the curriculum coming from? What is the accreditation for it? If it's an online school, who is the online school? It requires an extra level investigating that online program. What are their results? What are their test scores? What are their outcomes? Make sure you're looking into that and digging down to it. And then on-site, who is the on-site coordinator? What is their expertise in it? These are all important questions to ask and figure out. Finally, if you have learning exceptionalities, how does the online program work through it? What accommodations exist at the site of the academy to make sure your child can succeed? Well, there's also the notion of in-person prep schools, which I'm a prep school product. Prep schools have been on the hockey scene for a long time and have produced so many great players like Brian Leach, for example. However, not all prep schools are the same. Again, really investigate, is it an IB program, AP courses? Where are their students going on to? What are the average SAT and ACT scores? I think it's really important. It's funny about SAT scores and ACT scores. We talk a lot about test optional, but that brings up another question is, what is the rigor of the school? If you're not submitting test scores, what is your transcript going to look like when you graduate? What are the type of courses you are going to be taking? That all becomes really important. Make sure the schools you're looking at academically have great answers for this. It's so important. And again, I also cannot underestimate, if you do have learning exceptionalities, what do the learning support services look like at the schools? They are all not created equal, whether they're online academies, hybrids, or traditional prep schools. Get to the campuses, ask the questions, talk to parents. Every website looks great. Every website makes a school look like it's top notch, but they're not. Another thing is the notion of accreditation. There are different accrediting bodies across the U.S. In North Carolina, we fall under something called the Southern Association of Independent Schools. They'll send accreditation teams out to the campus, and they're digging through the campus. They're making sure the program is what people say it is and that it's safe and a healthy environment for students. If a school is just an online school, here's something to consider. The online program will be accredited or might be accredited. But if your academics are purely through an online accreditation, that means no accreditation team has likely visited that campus. They've never gone into the dorms. They've never gone into the cafeteria. They haven't necessarily sat with students during lunch. They're not interviewing the stakeholders in the same way. So please realize, when you're talking about accreditation, it really is important because a complete accreditation means at school, the finances have been looked at. It means the academics, the dorms, health and safety, medical services, all of that has been checked out. If it's a hockey academy that's purely just using its accreditation of the online school, no one has gone through those things. There's the political ad in the 2008 election of there's a phone call ringing in the White House at the middle of the night, and who do you want to answer it? Well, boarding schools are really the same way. Who do you want answering that call at 2 a.m. when something's gone awry? We know with teenagers, something always does. Who at the school is taking that call? Who is looking at it? What is their expertise? Accreditation goes a long way. Is it a perfect measure? No, but it does mean someone is looking at it. In terms of the hockey, one big question to ask is, how many hours on ice? Who's giving that instruction? Is it all inclusive in the facility? There's one academy that's come online. The dormitory is actually on a junior college campus. The rink is in one location and the school is in another. They're essentially tenants in all those places. Do they own the rink or are they a tenant? Some academies, they've been forced out because they're just a tenant like anyone else. So what is the relationship with the rink? What is the relationship with the school? Again, that's another question too. As we know, some academies, hockey academies, are sending their kids to school in another location. All of that can make for, at times, a tenuous existence, especially looking at the finances. We've heard of junior hockey teams closing, but we've also seen this in the academy landscape. People losing their tenancy as a rink. There was an academy last year where the school that they were sending their athletes to, that closed. So all these things are worth looking into. Hockey-wise, who is doing the coaching? What is their background? What is their background with adolescents? I've seen coaches that are great on the collegiate level, but they actually struggle with high school age kids and vice versa. So being sure to dig into it. What is their curriculum? What is their development curriculum on ice? What are they emphasizing? What's the practice compared to games? All those things are really important. And the third tier too is, what does their off-ice training look like? Is it just standard weight room stuff? Are they bringing in all sorts of new technologies that are out there that are all about training? How are they using analytics? How are they using the mental side of the game too, right? Mental coaches are so important now. And that's a key thing as well. Also, safety is really big. Go to visit the place you're looking at. Visit several places so you have them compared to. All right, what does the safety of the campus look like? What is the safety of the dorms, the vehicles, the buses, some of the mini buses that students will be riding on? All these things are really important. I mentioned this a little bit earlier as asking what resources a school has. One of the great things actually about prep schools compared to a lot of hockey academies is how built out their resources are. They've been in business for a long time. They have counseling services. They have health services. They have testing services. All of that is built into the program. We're a couple of years from opening still, but that's the great part about Calvert is we are basing ourselves around a full independent school where we will have those resources. The high school years are not a linear process. There are going to be some speed bumps, and making sure those safety and support services are there for a student athlete are critical to their success. You don't need them until you need them, and making sure a school has it and it's supportive and being able to be proactive is vital. What are the backgrounds of the people looking after it too, right? Are they experienced? How long have they been in schools? Whether it be prep schools, making sure the experience that you have in those environments is important. I also really want to encourage people to look at best practices. Within the independent school world, there are certain dates for applications that are generally followed, things like financial aid, acceptances being mailed out. If a school is really operating outside of standard best practices, that's a red flag. Why are they doing it? Is it because financially they're insecure and they need to do what they can to make sure they're staying open? So Is a school following best practices? One of the nice parts about when you do is you end up getting offers at the same time that enables you to be able to really compare and contrast. If someone's rushing an offer for you and wanting you to sign now, that should be a red flag. So all those things are worth taking into account. Are they following accepting best practices of independent schools? I would argue, even if you're a hockey academy, you need to be following these, okay? Because they have been developed by experts over time. And that is one thing about a lot of hockey academies is there aren't educational experts leading it. They might be experts on the ice, but we want to make sure you're cultivating a complete experience. And again, that's going to be one of the great things about Calvert is an innovative educational independent school coupled with some of the best hockey training, best facilities you could find anywhere. As we move forward, even though we're not open yet, we want to be a resource. Hit us up, all right? Send us DMs, all right? We want to know your questions. We want to be able to help answer them because ultimately, this is our why. We want to make sure student athletes are in the best places possible for both their academic and athletic success. We look forward to bringing online not just one of the most innovative hockey curriculums, but also one of the most innovative academic curriculums. And we can't wait to share more about that with you too. Located in the Triangle, which is really one of the greatest innovation corridors in the US right now, our program is going to be one that student athletes don't have to sacrifice on the academic side for the hockey side. We're going to make use of the great resources we have around us, whether it be engineering classes, entrepreneurial classes, all sorts of innovative aspects of our curriculum that will help our student athletes long after they're finished on ice. We look forward to bringing you this series. We look forward to some of the guests. And again, hit us up with any questions you have. We're here for student athletes, even if we're not open yet. We want to make sure every student athlete is in the best position possible to succeed, not just in hockey, but in life as well. Thanks.